Yo, what's going on? We on that WatchMojo shit now. This is Prinatious Pete, the solitary one, and I am doing something that I didn't think I was gonna do, but it's a list, and I'm gonna try to react to the list that they have, and this is from WatchMojo, and I think it was the list of the top 10 hardest video game sequels. I don't know what comes to mind of sequels that were difficult from its predecessor, but I do know one game in particular that I saw on the thumbnail when I was trying to get this whole thing set up, which was Ninja Gaiden 2, because that game was difficult. The first one was difficult, but the second one is just as difficult, if not more harder than the first. And so when I saw that, I was like, I definitely need to do a reaction to this to see what list of games that they have that were sequels that were difficult than its predecessors. And so, that being said, let's get started with this. WatchMojo. And before I actually get this started, if you want to know where this video is from, or you want to try to find it, the link is down in the description down below, or you can go to WatchMojo.com. I think they may still be, it's still a chance you can catch it easily on the list of videos that they have. But if you want to save some time and not try to do all that, I got you guys covered. It's in the description box down below, so you guys are good. Let's get to the video.
If the first game was already a challenge, what made us think the sequel would be any easier? Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 video game sequels way harder than the original. I'm Todd Habercorn, and I'm not sure about the hardest sequel, but certainly my favorite sequel of all time is Terminator 2. Technically not a video game, but video games were made of it. Does that count? Am I foreshadowing a future where I do cinema-related lists? Hashtag, let's hope so.
Let's get ready to Mojo!
That slap.
Number 10,
It sounded like it was so
Fallout
delayed.
2.
If you survive, come back to me. We will talk more. Our life is in your hands.
I never played any of the Fallout 2 games, so I have no,
Find
close connection to this.
be our salvation.
Before Fallout became the first-person RPG shooter we know today, it was a turn-based RPG with an isometric 2D view, and it was frickin' hard. As if the first game wasn't difficult already, Fallout 2 remembered it was set in a post-apocalyptic world and decided that everything should try to kill you.
Oh, damn. Oh, shit.
In other words, it was set in Australia. I mean, there were more random encounters with tougher enemies. Love you, Australia. Love Gold Coast. Woo! Obviously, having a solid character build wasn't going to be enough, and you likely had to do some grinding to survive the hostile wasteland.
War never changes.
Number 9, Super Star Wars. Urgh, The Empire Strikes Back.
I never seen this. I know Star Wars had a bunch of
Remember how
games, but I never
unreasonably
seen
hard Super Star Wars was? And how weak the lightsaber was? Well, guess what? They made a sequel.
this.
They may
Nah,
have reused
that looks kind of
most of
fun.
the same tricks its predecessor employed, but it also decided to make them 10 times more frustrating. Wait, carry the 1, 2, yes, 10 times. Enemies rapidly spawn from outside the screen, and even as you're hitting them, they can still attack you.
Oh, yeah, that is kind of bullshit. Oh, shit! That is kind of bullshit,
That
because I think I
Wampa
do
should
know
not be
that
able
like
to
games
freeze
like
us
in the
after getting
90s
struck
were
with a
like difficult.
lightsaber.
I remember hearing
In
about
the
how
end,
Lion
progression all
King
depends
and
on your
Aladdin,
reflexes
like
and
those games were
memorization of
difficult.
the level's layout.
Yeah, I probably would be doing that
You
too.
don't think there's going to be a quiz about this later? You are wrong. See me after class. You know what? On second thought, Dark Souls is starting to seem way more fair. Number 8, Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link.
I remember seeing someone do a playthrough of this, and I can see why it can be difficult. And like I said, with that last boss, like,
One of the most exciting
be
yet
difficult.
challenging parts of the first Legend of Zelda was not knowing where to go. This allowed the player to explore on their own and figure things out for themselves. Zelda 2 similarly left players to find their own way, but also upped the difficulty of the map with the addition of enemy encounters that can randomly spawn.
Yeah. I wonder if Super Ghouls and Ghosts is gonna be on this
but when it
list.
is, you're dead. You don't want to hear me rant about how much BS you have to go through in Death Mountain. That's still a game I haven't beat. Don't shame me for it.
I don't think they. Oh, are they gonna bring up the last
Number
boss?
7.
Oh no, they didn't.
Resident Evil 2.
We're leaving this place together. Wait here for me. I'll be right back.
I'm in the current gen reboot of it. Listen for me.
Mm.
As if our favorite zombie shooter wasn't stressful enough, what with all the puzzles, scarce ammunition, and jump scares, Resident Evil 2 just had to go and push us to our limits. Push it to the limit.
Push it to the limit. It just made me think of that
Seriously,
Rick
if we could
Ross song.
barely hold our own against a couple of zombies, what made Capcom think we could handle even more of them? Adding to the distress is just how claustrophobic the areas can get. You're constantly under the risk of getting trapped in a corner and possibly wasting.
And as much as a lot of people enjoy these games and played them, I have not really played a Resident Evil game. I'll
So you're going to
be
need to decide
glad
when
to say
shoot
that. I
and
am
when
not
to simply
ashamed of
run
that.
past everything.
I've watched
Random
people
question,
do
am I
playthroughs
now
of this, but I've
considered
never
a
played
certified
these
botanist
games.
if I know how
I've
to mix
watched,
green
but
herbs
never
and red
played.
herbs? Asking for a friend.
Probably just RE6, only because my brother wanted me to do co-op with him for a bit.
Number 6, Middle Earth, Shadow of War.
Oh, this feels like some Dark Souls shit right here.
Ignoring the loot box elephant in the room, Middle Earth Shadow of War turned out to be much harder than its predecessor. We mean that in a good way. When you're invading a fortress, you are constantly being bombarded by minions. No matter how many you kill, they just keep on coming.
Yeah, that would kind of seem a bit annoying.
The Nemesis feature, on the other hand, makes fights against captains especially grueling. When you encounter someone you fought before, they'll return at a higher level, along with a few new upgrades. This forces the
that
player
is
to rethink
bullshit.
strategies while keeping fights tough, but fair, for the most part. At least there's more enemy variety than there was in Shadow of Mordor.
I'm just gonna leave you there, and when I'm good and ready, I'm gonna come back, and I'll kill both of you.
What the fuck?
Number 5.
I was not expecting that. What the fuck is that?
Between the original and its iconic sequel, most System Shock fans will tell you the second game is an absolute nightmare. Just how difficult is this sci-fi horror fest? Well, let's just say that you really need to be damn good at shooters. Even when it's set to the easiest difficulty, System Shock 2 is taxing.
Wow. Even on the easy difficulty, that is still hard.
For starters, it's going to take more than a single headshot to keep enemies at bay. Oh, and did we mention that you won't have much ammo to work with? Ammunition is insanely hard to come by, and it's difficult figuring
means
out
it's
how to
really
conserve
scarce, then.
bullets when enemies are assaulting you.
Your flesh will welcome us.
Oh.
Jeez, Shodan, can you let up for just a second? 1 second. Wait. Where are you going?
But that system won't come online until you reset your servers. Keep an eye out.
Damn.
They're mobilizing their real forces, and they know exactly where you are.
Number 4, XCOM 2.
We're seeing heavy civilian casualties, Commander.
Yeah, like most of these games that I'm seeing so
This is
far,
a
like
game
I have
that's
not played,
guaranteed
but
to
I've
turn
heard
the
of it.
happiest person into a living hurricane of rage and fury. Whether you're playing offense or defense, your soldiers will constantly be at the mercy of RNGesus. Think that enemy can't hit you from that distance? Well, there goes half of your health.
Wow.
Think you can get a guaranteed hit by standing next to an enemy? Nah, you only have 50% chance to land a hit. Needless to say, the RNG is so relentless and unforgiving that you'll be throwing the controller by your third mission. I guarantee it. Hope you enjoy your ass getting tenderized by the aliens as they prep you for an anal probe, because the punishment just does not stop.
Damn.
Number 3.
Yes. This is definitely up my ballpark. This game was fucking hard.
The name alone says it all. We mean, come on, this is the sequel to Ninja freaking Gaiden we're talking about. While the 1990 platformer of the same name was insanely challenging, its modern duplicate is on a whole other astral plane of hack-and-slash madness.
Tomonobu Edagaki, you fucking bastard. This game
After
was
all,
hard.
You had to really work for your kills in this game.
But yeah.
Dismemberment did not mean death, and ignoring crippled enemies left you liable for an insta-kill sucker punch. It certainly didn't help that the camera was occasionally frustrating in how it focused on Ryu.
Yeah, and I know when you get to like one of the later bosses, I remember I got one-shotted in a fucking combo and killed me.
And occasionally having to completely restart levels over because you died. Guide and rant complete.
Yeah, I definitely need to do a playthrough for the channel for this game and the first one. And the third one too.
Castlevania 2. Simon's Quest.
And I heard how difficult this one was too. I remember seeing a playthrough from Johnny of the Super Gaming Brothers and Brain Scratch commentaries.
As we've seen from the likes of Zelda 2, a change in gameplay style can certainly up the difficulty. Castlevania went through a similar phase. Whereas the first game kept things linear, Simon's Quest went for an open world-like design. As interesting as this was, it left many players lost in the dark. Yeah, you see what I did there?
Lost in the dark.
The game gives you very little guidance as to where you're supposed to go, which may lead you to start wandering aimlessly or talking to every NPC you meet. Basically, you're going to need to do some thorough exploration in order to progress. Of course, there's always the internet, that lovely, lovely squishy marshmallow we place. But it was a different time back then. Geocities.com? Netscape, anyone?
Yeah. I don't know when I'll ever play a Castlevania game now that I think about
Not
it.
quite at the end yet. Almost there though. Just be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Alright, back to business.
Number 1. Super Mario Brothers, The Lost Levels, aka Super Mario Brothers.
So many stories I've heard of this game. I'm kind of surprised they didn't do... Well, I get to it.
You know what I've had stuck in my head for the past 3 days? It's perhaps the most infamous game under the Super Mario banner. While originally set to be the official global sequel to the iconic Plumber's debut, the game didn't end up coming to the West due to Nintendo feeling like audiences wouldn't be able to wrap their heads around it.
Yeah, that is bullshit.
They may have had a point. The Lost Levels throws everything it can at the player and then some. You can expect warp pipes that may set you back further from the goal, bottomless pits that required pixel-perfect jumps to pass, not to mention constantly being pressed for time.
Yeah, that timer is really a killer. That flick, that...
So instead,
couldn't see Mario!
The Doki Doki Panic version. Thanks for the save, Nintendo.
In the mood for more awesome gaming content? Be sure to check out this video here on Mojo Plays. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.
Yeah, like, those are some hard games. Like I said, majority of those games I have not played. I've seen other people play it on YouTube, but I have not played, like, you know, majority of those games outside of Ninja Gaiden 2, because that shit was fucking hard. Because I was a big fan of, like, the rebooted version, which was when it came out for the original Xbox, and then also interested to get the second one. That game was fucking hard. Like, I don't know how long it took me to beat that game. And I eventually did it for my channel, not my current channel, but my previous channel. I don't have the footages no more, but that game was fucking hard. It was difficult. And there was moments where I clutched that shit out, where I felt like, damn, how the fuck you beat this shit? And I also noticed that majority of those games that was on this list were from either the early 90s, mid-90s, or late 90s. And Ninja Gaiden was just really like the mid-2000s. And so just seeing that just shows how really between the 90s and going into the 2000s, games start to kind of like go down into a place where they try to make it less challenging for the players themselves, because you don't see no other games on this list that's from the 2000s that's difficult. And also that map, like, I believe it was harder because with gamers playing like games that's either on the Genesis or the NES or the Super NES or whatever console they was playing it on, they didn't really have much of a map. We had manuals back then. Well, I'll say we I didn't really start playing games until like the late '90s. But it seemed like they really didn't have a lot of shit. Like with the original Legend of Zelda game, like they needed a map to try to figure out where to go. And so that really shows just how far gaming has come in that difficulty department where people got to figure out what they got to do. And we want to make it a lot easier for you. Okay, let's put a mini map on the lower part of the screen, or let's give you sort of info when you either pause the game or look it up somehow to try to figure out where to go. And so it really shows how far just difficulty has gone. But we still got the Dark Souls and we still got the Sekiro and all these other games. But it just shows that, they're difficult games, but it is good that they've kind of moved away from it. Because I brought up The Lion King and Aladdin games earlier because I've heard those games are a bit difficult. But yeah, pretty cool list. Like I said, I didn't play majority of them outside of Ninja Gaiden 2, but still, I don't know how y'all feel on it, but I mean, if you played it, then if you understand it, then yeah, I feel your pain because Ninja Gaiden, that's my game.